Hello to all the future millionaires out there with us today. We have a guest on with us. I'm excited to have this guest with us today. He goes by, well, his name is Brigham Blackham, and he's also a podcaster.
That's right.
At the current moment, he's helping 33 leaders this year to generate unprecedented profits with their organization, enabling them to work smarter so they can go harder without burnout or crippling frustration. Now, you know that's what we're all about on this show, Millionaire by Morning Show. So the man has experience in the topic. So we want to sit back, whatever you're doing right now, and this is an important person to listen to. Welcome to the show, Brigham.
Hey, thank you so much, Rashad. Man, what a pleasure. Thanks for the intro, man. Man, I feel like I want to get to know my own self a little bit better. Appreciate that. No.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's the best part about it is sometimes you don't even know, what you're doing for, society or the universe, and you don't know it until you actually hear it coming from someone else.
Oh, man.
So
that's so good. Thank you.
I like to, I did dive into your podcast, man, and I see you yourself. You talk to people that really make a difference in our society. And by doing that, I know, of course, because I do it as well, man, you gain a lot of knowledge. You're able to help people out. And to spread that word based on everyone that you interview.
Yeah.
So I guess we can go back. I would like to start, man. When did you decide that, okay, I want to talk to these people? Like, let me make a podcast, whatever it is that I'm doing, let me get in touch with these certain type of people. And I want to speak with them and kind of pick their brains.
I love it. So if I understand your question right, it is, how did I decide to be a podcaster? If I can summarize it, and an entrepreneur. Well, I really first decided this about a year and a half ago. I saw what podcasting had done for a lot of my friends in my real estate investing community. And I latched on to one guy. His name was Greg Kimball. I love this guy. He has a great podcast called The Final Percent. Shout out to that. It's awesome. But hearing his journey, he created a platform for stories to be told. I have a background in theater. I have a background in teaching. And I taught for 7 years. I taught 7 years of high school. So I did my time, 7 years in high school. And I realized, you know what? There are some really great stories. And if you ask great questions, this is a cool secret. You get great answers. And if you're willing to provide a microphone for people that are making a difference in society, in business, in real estate investing, eventually you're going to be able to learn some things, find some patterns of progress that you can level up your life. And that's why I actually called this podcast Levelin Up. I call Levelin Up with Brigham Blackham because I'm always looking for those little patterns, those almost shortcuts, that they're true principles that whenever it is that you learn them, you're like, that resonates with me. I want to make that change. Can I give you an example of one that I even got on Sunday? This wasn't even one on my podcast, but it was one that I had a mind blown moment yesterday. You ready for this?
Let's go.
Okay. I had a friend, his name, we're going to call him Mr. Merrill. I won't give his first name, but he shared how a lot of times people are like, hey, you just got to be grateful. And when he shared this yesterday, it went a little farther. He said, look for the hand of God in your life. If you look for the hand of God in your life, that's not only being grateful, you are opening your eyes, you're creating more awareness. And I was like, man, I needed to hear that, because I've been really intentional with, writing in my journal for at least 5 minutes. What is something I'm grateful for? But that little shift leveled up my awareness, looking for what God has done for me and how he has been able to impact me. And that level of gratitude is just a slight bit hotter than it was before. And I was like, that's why I talk to people. That's why I love connecting with awesome minds, awesome people like yourself, because you never know when one little nugget of wisdom can unlock your potential.
That's right. I 100% agree. And to add on to that, we all have a purpose.
Absolutely.
So each person that you speak with on these podcasts, they're giving back in their own special way, the way that they were choosing to give back.
That's right.
So it's kind of insane how this is all working out because, you know, just a few years ago, we were destined to be in our own communities and just could help out in that little bit of sense or that little bit of space. But now we're able to podcast, Zoom call all across the nation and all spread our good wealth and, you know, being. And so with that being said, like you went from a classroom, right? Where you were, you know, you were destined to be in this classroom. And if you look at it from the grand scheme of things, that's really, really small.
Yeah, super tiny.
So you went from there to really being nationwide. And as far as the podcast is concerned, you could be global. So what made you make the jump? I know that real estate is a you know, that's what you do as a business. But what made you go from in the classroom to wanting to be an entrepreneur? That turn point.
So good. I think it comes down to when I was in my classroom, when I was putting in the work day in, day out, I realized I only had so much of a circle of influence, a small little circle of influence, maybe 150 kids to 200 kids in a good year. And I realized that, yes, it's great to give in that small capacity. I love teachers, so grateful for what they've done for me and for so many others. But I felt like because I've been blessed with so many good things, so many opportunities, so many talents, I wanted to actually give back to more people. I didn't want the lessons that I'd been taught to die with me and to even die with just a small group of people. I felt like there was something bigger that I could do and I could give back higher. And I think podcasting is one way, being on stage is another way, and really condensing a lot of these life lessons that sometimes take decades to learn into days. That's one of the things I love about great, powerful conversations, speaking with amazing people, is you can take someone's shared experience of their life and condense it and learn a life lesson that helps you save time, energy, effort, and it gives you a new way to think about life. I love the way that we create reassociations. And when you had this previous thought, like I thought teaching was extremely generous, but when I really got down to it, I talked with other teachers. They loved their classroom, they loved their kids, but the buck stopped with them and their family. And they didn't want to contribute past outside of their classroom. And for me, I was like, I actually don't want to be that restricted. I want to be bigger. I want to have more opportunities to give. And if I'm only making enough to barely get by in my life, it's really hard to give from bare shelves. You ever heard that expression?
Yeah.
You need to have affluence and you want to have an abundance mindset. And one of the things that I realized while I was deep into my teaching career was I was developing a mindset of scarcity.
Yeah.
And scarcity mindset, it doesn't breed confidence.
Right.
What breeds confidence is competence coupled with action in a positive upward spiral. You know, you probably have heard this expression, oh man, I'm spiraling. Have you ever thought about it? Most of the time people are thinking I'm spiraling downward. What if you could spiral upward? You make minor little improvements. You level up day in, day out, day in, day out, and you get a little bit better, a little bit better. As you do this, not only are you helping yourself, you're giving other people permission to make that next change that's positive, that's good. And I strive to positively impact, inspire, and uplift others to have joy and reach their God-given potential as I reach mine. That's one of my missions. And I believe that a podcast about speaking, all these different engagements that we do to give little bits of ourselves, these little heartbeats, they allow us to make a positive impact. And that's why I do what I do. Because I don't want my kids to wake up, 40 years down the road and wondering if dad cared. I want to make sure that I let them know I care, and I don't just care about my family, I care about our human family. If I have something that can help somebody else, I feel like it's selfish not to share.
Right.
Hope that helped answering your question.
Yeah, it did, man. At the end of the day, you want people to know you put it all on the line.
Yeah.
I create my podcast. It's called Millionaire by Morning. If one heard that phrase, they may at first, depending if they have a scarcity mindset or depending if they have an abundant mindset. If they have a scarcity mindset, they may look at it as a negative and say, okay, that's a get rich quick scheme, right? But if they have an abundant mindset, they're probably going to say, okay, that's a very interesting topic. Let me check that out. So what's going to happen is, what I plan to happen is, because this is now living in the cloud, it's YouTube, it's on podcast, just like you said, just like you're presenting. I'm introducing people, I'm interviewing people, I am providing a playbook for people to get their mindset correct to the point to where you can listen to these podcasts. And it's going to go from me talking to people like yourself, and you can see where they started and where they end up. It won't just be me being a millionaire by morning. It's going to be the people that was on this podcast that had the correct mindset, that's going to walk you down a journey from mindset to becoming a millionaire.
Absolutely.
And that's why I hold these. I'm glad you said what you just said, because I want it to live for eternity. Now, you can go back. People can go back and say, I was successful because I found this podcast, and it had people that walked you down an entire journey to getting your mindset correct, because they decided that they want to give back to the universe in their own way. And all of those people is on this podcast. So I just want to thank you for that, because you're like, man, we really, best thing for all of us is to kind of take care of all of us. And that's profound. So I wanted to just put that part out there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So right now, okay, let's talk about right now what you currently have going on, as far as, and we're talking about your businesses, if you do consulting to the podcast. What is Brigham currently doing?
I love it. Okay, so we'll start off with the real estate side. So I'm a short-term rental host, and I help co-host for other properties as well. I've got 10 properties of under management right now. Okay. And those are on Airbnb, VRBObooking.com. So short-term rentals are, if you've never stayed in an Airbnb, that's basically what it is, right? A fully furnished rental. And that's where I got my start. That's really the lifeblood of my business right now, that pumping heart that allows me to go and make a positive impact in others' lives. And then I also help people that really want to invest in real estate and grow a business. So for instance, if you've ever heard of the cash flow quadrant, have you ever heard of this?
Yes.
This quadrant? Yes. Okay. So just for anyone that hasn't yet, you definitely want to go read Sharon Lechter and Robert Kiyosaki's book, Cash Flow Quadrant. But it's really 4 different quadrants. There's 4 different ways legally and ethically to make money, right? There's as an employee, and I was a teacher for a long time, right? That's a very noble thing. Maybe doctors, all these different people are making money as an employee. Then you also have a self-employed individual, which technically a speaker is self-employed until he starts having other people speak for him, right? You have like a speaking firm, or you have like a window washer. Those are self-employed individuals, and they are trading their time for money still. But as soon as you go from that to being a business owner, where you are creating a system that generates money and you can leverage other people's time, energy, effort, everything, then that business will start to churn off more money than you could as a self-employed individual. Okay. And then where do you put it? You put it in investments. And for me, real estate investing, it's just a very safe vehicle. It doesn't mean there's no risk. But if you go ask any bank and you bring like an address, you'll say, hey, is this possible for us to fund? They'll run the numbers, and if the numbers work, yes. If the numbers don't work, no. It's that simple. But because it's worked so long, you need to have some specific strategies. So for me, it was real estate investing, absolutely just made sense. And then the other thing is, as I'm growing my speaking career, I help people get connected to online on-demand education. So if they want to understand how to grow a business, we have resources, online classes, we have coaching, and there's so many different ways, depending on what business you want, to take the principles and apply them to whatever business, because every single business has to understand customer journey. They need to understand how to create systems. They need to understand all the different elements that go into having a customer start and finish and have a great, successful experience all the way through. Hope that helped.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay. So you do the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Basically you have access or the avenue to online learning.
Mm-hmm.
And you also do the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. The podcast, let's speak about podcasting. I feel
Absolutely.
I feel like I can learn. There's going to be a gem that you're going to give me and any future podcasters.
Well, I love it.
Right. So the podcasting, what you said that you had some friends that were already doing podcasting. Okay.
Yeah.
So the podcasting helps you with your speaking career as well, right?
Absolutely. It's
Okay.
huge.
Okay. So
I do have a warning though for anyone that wants to podcast. This is very scary, guys. When you're podcasting, you might actually get better at storytelling. You also might get better at communicating. You have to be very careful because people will start to see you as an authority. So be careful. If you don't want those things, don't be a podcaster.
I will be totally honest with you. I had last week someone for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I set a goal, right? I set a goal to say how many downloads I wanted. I wanted to how many interviews I wanted to do. But it just so happened that my bookings were really good people. Like they were really good conversations. So
Nice.
it was really good. So it didn't matter how many people see it. The conversations were really good, no matter if it was 10, 20, 100,000, 10,000. Whoever seen it was like, okay, yeah, this is a good conversation. It's a good podcast to be on. That's a good interview. So just last week, after all of that, and I've been going through the motions, was the first time that I had someone approach me as like, I'm coming on this podcast because it makes me seem more like an authority. Being on your podcast makes me seem like I'm someone. And man,
Yeah.
Brigham, I have to say that feeling there, man, that was awesome.
That is awesome. I think part of the reason podcasting is so helpful is because you have a story to be told. And when you are willing to let other people share their stories and you share yours, there's a mutual exchange of value. And because there's value exchanged, people can experience who you are. You get to hear their voice, you get to hear their story, and there's a know, like, and trust factor that's built the longer you hear somebody. It's kind of like drinking their Kool-Aid. I have a friend, my friend Mark Kohler says that when you get into their ecosystem, they're drinking their Kool-Aid, they get connected to you and they start to like you. And the thing is in business, guys, if people don't know, like, and trust you, even if they're ready, able, and willing to buy your products, they won't. They buy from people that they like, people that they trust.
Yeah.
That's so important. And podcasting is one way that you can start to provide content that allows others to say, oh, he's got something to say. He has something that he's working towards, and he's got a bigger purpose than just himself. It's huge. So I'm glad that we have this conversation today, Rashad. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. And just to recognize anyone that's out there listening, take heed, even if you are a podcaster. or a content creator, I would like for you today to take heed to Brigham and what he's done today. Him himself is a podcaster. However, today he's on the other side of the camera. He's on the other side of the microphone. So sometimes you have to promote yourself as well as you're doing the promotion. And it's possible now. You know, it is really possible now to grab someone else's crowd, to grab someone else's following's attention. So if you can do that at all cost. You know, just switch it up, get on both sides of the camera, you know. And like you were saying, Brigham, it's a form of content creation that you can take this one episode and make commercials out of. You could do an interview out of. It's just so much that you could do. I guess speaking on that, the next logical question would be, are you heavy on social media?
Oh, I love social media. One of the things that I did actually, my way that I help a lot of people that are brand new to my ecosystem is I wrote a book called Levelin Up Your Social Media. It took the last 3 years of me applying multiple coaches and strategies. And I basically just say, here's how I did it, how I've been growing my social media very intentionally. I don't try and grow the biggest following. I try and find very quality people, because it's one thing to have a lot of people that aren't your right quality prospects. It's another to say, I'm attracting the right people and I'm attracting them consistently. Right. So yeah, I wrote that little ebook, and I do miniature trainings and I put them on my YouTube channel. And as people watch those trainings, they're like, oh man, I want to know more. Then they'll download my ebook. And right now, guys, this is kind of cool. It's actually free right now. I'm not even charging for my ebook. It's just a value exchange of saying, I want that. So I'm going to opt into your email newsletter. My email newsletter, I give a handful of jokes every once in a while. I'll let you have updates on my podcast. I give people unique deals. Every once in a while, I'll give like 5 or 10% off of a short-term rental stay. So there's tons of value that I throw in there, and I do my very best to keep them concise and actionable, something that is useful. Yeah. Because it's not just about like, hey, here's what's up with me. It's actually, here's what you could be doing, and here's some things that could be helpful. Right. I don't try and think, hey, let me just toot my own horn. It's how do I add value to your life? And that's my whole focus.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're all about actionable steps. Right here, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to toot your own horn.
All right.
So your podcast, man, your podcast is awesome. The one thing that I like that stood out about it the most, and it could just be me, it's simple. Your cover is simple. It's to the point. What you want to talk about, who I'm talking to.
Yep.
And I thought that was so cool, man. But you have some really intriguing guests on there. So with your podcast, if you could just give us a couple of, it doesn't necessarily, you know, it's called when you get someone that's really on there, like, okay, I had Sylvester Stallone, you know, there's some things that's name dropping, right? When you get somebody with a really big name. But you don't necessarily have to do that. If you can, you can. But however, maybe give us a couple of podcast episodes that kind of stood out, or what particularly, you know, they were speaking about on your podcast.
Okay, so I have a couple. One of them was with Ron Williams. He was Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia, like 7 times. He was decorated more than I think any other natural bodybuilder in the country. I had him on my podcast a couple months ago, and he's going to be speaking at the Olympics on the world stage, which is pretty cool. Okay, we talked about some really, really helpful things, and there's some faith-based things in there. He's a minister too, so that was like, wow, that was so cool. And he's from a different religion, so it was actually really interesting to be able to hear his insights on things. Yeah. Another one, I had Justin Prince on. If you guys are in like multi-level marketing or network marketing, you definitely would know who that is. He's got a following of over 500,000 people. Absolutely brilliant conversation we had. Very simple, actionable steps. I've had just this last week, I had one of my my really good friends on, George. He is from the credit jungle, and we talked about how you can actually go and purchase homes without using your own money, your own credit. And when you're selling them, you can sell them creatively on terms and actually make sometimes 2 times more money than you could if you sold them for cash.
Wow.
So that was a really, as far as content, he's not super well known yet, but he had excellent content. And then, man, I've got so many people on there that drop nuggets of wisdom that are just phenomenal. I do my very best to take some of those nuggets and put them into shorts. So if you're like, man, I want to feel for this, go watch 10 or 20 of my shorts. I do my best to have my virtual assistant who cuts up my podcast to find the very best nuggets from each episode and condense them into shorts. So there's a few of them. I honestly have so many amazing people. My favorite one was I can't even say one of my favorites was with my friend Allison Pazuk. She was a teacher as well. We connected. We had a great heart to heart, and it was probably the most touching of all of the podcasts that I did. It gave her and me an opportunity to share the why behind our businesses. It's not just about making money, guys. I know a lot of people are like, man, let's just talk about making money and being admired and showing off with the glitzy cars. It's for me, it's actually not been about that at all. It's been, how do I make a positive impact? How do I do things that allow me to have the fuel to go drive my car where I need to? Yeah. And that car, I'm using this as a metaphor, but to drive that vehicle of influence and positive action, because I don't want to just be someone that helps smash obstacles in real estate investing. I want to help people live into their story and to unlock that story within themselves so they can level up. They can find that difference within themselves. Because I want you guys to ask this. When was the last time that you did something for the first time? A lot of us get stuck in the mundane and the average things that we do. But just because it's mundane doesn't mean it can't be fun-dane. I learned that from my good friend, Kayla Kimball. You can have fun while you're doing things. And sometimes a small little shift can make a massive difference. So I speak Mandarin Chinese. I used to teach Mandarin. And there's this expression, 失之毫厘, 差之千里. The difference of a hair can be thousands of miles. And what that means is if we don't constantly course correct, we don't find where we want to go and keep that consistently in mind. Just like how a plane is off course most of the time, we won't arrive at our destination. You have to constantly course correct, remembering where you are currently and where you want to go. And if you really keep that in mind and you are vigilant at it, eventually you'll get there, even if you're stumbling across that path like a drunken sailor. You absolutely can get there.
Yeah. I want to end on that. That was positive. That was a note. That's something to take with you. So like, yeah, man. You said earlier, when you hear spiraling, most people think spiraling down. Why can't you think spiraling up?
That's right.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Social media, websites? Man,
easiest way to find me, if you're wanting to listen to my podcast, is Brigham Blackham on YouTube. I'm the only Brigham Blackham on YouTube. And you'll see at StayBNB is the channel name. That's if you want to book a short-term rental, it's staybnb.com. That's STAYBNBEE.com. That's where I've got my short-term rentals. They're all in Utah. So if you need a little bit of to go out there and enjoy some stuff with your family, absolutely would love that.
Okay. And you have the link tree.
My link tree will be in the description. So that will actually give you a direct way to contact me. And I'd be happy to connect with any of your listeners. And if you have interest in becoming a real estate investor, or you have an interest in getting some business coaching, happy to do a 10-15 minute consultation for free. And if what we have meets your needs and we can be that bridge for you to get to that next level, would love to do so.
Awesome. To all the listeners out there goes your olive branch. I want to thank you, Brigham, for coming on today. What we like to ask our guests for is actionable steps you have given that today. We also like to ask our guests, just to kind of give some nuggets or some gems. You have given that to us today. And I want to thank you. I've already extended an invite for you to come back on. And I really appreciate you for coming back on, and we can do this again sometime.
Oh, it would be a pleasure.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Brigham, I'm going to let you go tonight, but we're not going to say goodbye. We're going to say see you later.
Yeah, till next time. 再见.
All right.